Right, Dr. Pooja.
Recording has already started. I will be starting the session. Good morning, respected all. I am Dr. Pooja Verma, working as an assistant professor in education department at KR Mangalam University. I welcome you all to the 7th session of 1 week FDP on new reform in higher education with reference to NEP 2020. This FDP is being organized by KR Mangalam University, IQAC, School of Basic and Applied Sciences, School of Education, in collaboration with Council for Teacher Education Foundation, Delhi NCR chapter from 27 July to 2nd August 2022. When we look around, what are the biggest challenges for humanity? Climate change, terrorism, mental depression would probably come to your mind first. These problems only seem to increase each year. What are the solutions that we have for them? The West has been unable to address them. This is particularly because their worldview and social structure do not provide the knowledge and association practices to address the challenges. We need an integrated approach that results in harmony within ourselves and with the nature. That is the core of Indian knowledge system. It connects you with yourself, your community, and creation. Importantly, it provides a practice in the form of yoga, Ayurveda, rituals that allows the knowledge to be practiced in a simplified and distilled manner. Imbibing and practicing this knowledge will be the key trait of aspiring leaders of the future. So I take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Archana Bhattacharjee to embrace this session with her understanding towards revival and promotion of Indian knowledge system. We welcome you, ma'am. Dr. Archana Bhattacharjee is an educator, social activist, philanthropist, a former state badminton player, and a lifelong learner. An associate professor, she retired as academic vice principal and HOD of English department from Kakojan College in Jorhat, Assam, where she has served for 33 years with sincerity and dedication. As a researcher, she has presented more than 75 research papers at national and international seminars and conferences, both within and outside the country. She has also published 60 research papers on gender, Dalit, and educational issues in several reputed journals and chapters in ISBNs. She was also invited as keynote speaker, resource person, and guest of honor to various academic youth-related conferences, both in India and abroad. She is the founder president of an NGO, Navakiran Manch, working for the empowerment of the tea community, women and youth of Assam. She is a vice chairman of Council for Teacher Education Foundation, Assam chapter, joint secretary of All India Association for Educational Research, honorary faculty for Dr. Ambedkar Career Guidance Center, Jorhat, advisor of Universal Peace Federation India chapter, president of Agrani Ladies Club, Jorhat. She has received various awards for her academic and social works, like Excellent Teacher Award from Society for Research in Education and Pratibha Spandan Society, Shimla, Himachal Pradesh. India Peace Prize from International Youth Committee at Constitution Club in New Delhi, 2019. Fellow Award for the Royal School of Educators, Singapore, 2018. The Lashya Award for her social work for Shubh Power College Consultants, New Delhi. Her mantra is think globally and work locally. She believes that service to humanity is service to God. We welcome you, ma'am, to the session.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Pooja Verma. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank all the faculties of KR Mangalam University and who are working in collaboration with CTEF Delhi NCR chapter to organize this faculty development program. And I have been assigned this particular session on the revival of the Indian knowledge system and what impact it has on NEP, the new education policy 2020. I'm really thankful to the organizer for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this prestigious faculty development program organized by this university. You are all doing amazing work. Actually, I wanted to be present virtually right from the beginning and attend all the sessions, but because I was attending a 3-day international youth conference in Patna, which was organized in memory of our former president, Abdul Kalam, and I was there as a chief guest, so I couldn't attend it fully. But in between, I peeped in here and there. So probably in one of the sessions, Professor Tanya saw me and asked me to make a comment, but I was in the midst of the conference, so I didn't say anything right away. I'm sorry about that. Anyways, so today we are here to talk about something very serious, something very weighty, something very relevant, and something which is the need of the hour. It is really the need of the hour, and that is what actually worries us right now at this point of time. We are looking into this not just because NEP has reminded us of our duties and obligation towards our country, our future younger resources, our human resources, but also reminding us of a duty and also pointing out all the lacunas, all the shortcomings that have cropped up because of the divide that has been created between the ancient and the modern system of education. Because we are talking about the Indian knowledge system, right away, I know all of you are very much knowledgeable. All of you are very wise. All of you are in the know-how about the Indian knowledge system, but we cannot jump into the main theme without having some kind of background knowledge about the Indian knowledge system. So let us start off with Indian civilization. First, let me see what I can do to share my PPT. Wait, just give me a second. Is it visible?
Yes, madam.
Okay. So the topic of today's presentation is revival of the Indian knowledge systems. And this is me, Dr. Archana Bhattacharjee, and I am proud to be the Vice Chairperson of Council for Teacher Education, Assam chapter. So moving on to the next slide, Indian civilization, as we all know, has always attached great value to knowledge. Its amazingly large body of intellectual text, the world's largest collection of manuscripts, its attested tradition of texts, thinkers, and schools in so many domains of knowledge. Just stop a while and rewind the clock and think how rich we are, how rich the Indian civilization is when we take all these things into consideration. In this context, I would just like to cite something from the Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that knowledge is the greatest purifier It is the greatest purifier and liberator of the self. India's knowledge tradition is ancient and uninterrupted, like the flow of the river Ganga. This last line really touches my heart. When this metaphor is brought in, a comparison is drawn between the Indian knowledge system, the ancient Indian knowledge system, and the uninterrupted flow of the river Ganga, which is forever flowing. Now, we have to remember that whenever we are talking about knowledge, whether it is in the ancient times, whether it is in the modern times, we have to take into account three terms closely connected in discussions on knowledge related to ancient knowledge. These three categories are Darshana, Jnana, and Vidya. Darshana, as we all know, is the philosophy, is the system. It is like the point of view which leads to Jnana, knowledge. When the knowledge, again, is gathered about a particular domain, organized, systematized, structured for purpose of, say, reflections and pedagogy, it is called Vidya. So, these three terms cannot be taken or considered in isolation. They are so interrelated. They are so interconnected that one automatically leads to the other. As I said, it is a system. Darshana is the system. The point of view and its product, it leads to Jnana. And when knowledge is gathered about a particular domain, a particular area, and it is put in a structured manner, and say we are all reflecting on it, automatically it leads to our Vidya. So,
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt, but it would be nice if you can make it full screen
okay, let me try.
by clicking.
Okay, it's still small, right?
Ma'am, press F5 to make
Can
it
you-
full screen.
Press
That's okay.
F5.
It's okay, ma'am, if you're comfortable. It's okay.
I'm a little scared in case it disappears now. It's all
We can understand. It's okay, ma'am. Please continue.
okay.
That's fine.
Okay. So to carry on, let us recall the words of Sri Aurobindo. In one of his famous letters, he had cited, I quote, we Indians, born and bred in a country where Jnana has been stored, accumulated since the race began, bear about in us the inherited gains of many thousands of years. I unquote. This is a very apt saying by Sri Aurobindo, and we need to take it as food for thought because it carries the essence of what we are discussing here today. In Indian knowledge system, as I had cited earlier, the great value has always been attached to knowledge. So tremendous intellectual effort always went into maintaining the text of knowledge. A lot of importance was given to the compilation of the text and the maintenance of the text. Why? Because India had always placed great value to the knowledge because it was at the core of our entire system. The knowledge of different domains over a period of time has been institutionalized as so many disciplines. We have knowledge in different categories, in different domains. So obviously, in course of time, it will be institutionalized. And or you can say that They can be defined as different disciplines also, like Vidya and crafts and Kala. And Indian disciplinary formation includes fields as diverse as philosophy, architecture, grammar, mathematics, astronomy, sociology, economy, ethics, geography, logic, military science, weaponry, mining, trade, e-commerce, shipbuilding, medicine, poetics, biology, veterinary science, etc. The sky is the limit. There are more to be added here. I've just cited some very few and important ones. These all comes under the different disciplines. Now, we have to remember that for each discipline, there's a continuous and cumulative series of texts representing the domain, and it continues to be available in spite of widespread loss and historically recorded destruction. History tells us that we have such a rich legacy, and there's been so many different invasions down the ages. So many things have been taken away from us, some pearls of wisdom, yet somehow or the other, due to the blessings of the omnipotent God, some of these very heavy and priceless text of wisdom have not disappeared. They are still with us, and nobody has been able to do anything about that. So this itself is magical. These crafts have a direct bearing on our day-to-day life of the people, and most of them are still a part of the Indian life. For the craftsmen, the craft is not only their profession. For the craftsmen, the craft is not only their profession, it is also their worship. In this context, I guess you remember, or you should remember, or we should actually keep a lookout to see what is the attitude of the common people who are involved in some task related to some kala or some craft. When they are into it, their heart and soul into it, they are full-heartedly involved in the activities related to the kala. So that is what makes it so unique. That is what makes it so unique. It is almost like a kind of worship. It is almost like a kind of worship. The way we, the kind of feelings we have, the kind of mindset we develop whenever we talk about religious things, whenever we enter the temple, whenever we are doing something spiritual, the mindset automatically goes to a different level. We look upon it in a different way. So the same kind of mindset is also retained by these craftsmen when they are involved in their kalas. So this is a kind of worship for them. But here, we need to keep one thing in mind, that in the Indian tradition, this is a remarkable point to be kept in mind, that in the Indian tradition, there is no opposition. There is entirely no opposition between the art and craft. The craftsman is held in high esteem, almost like a sadhaka, a devotee whose mind attaches with great reverence to his object. That is what I was trying to explain a little earlier. For him, it is like an idol of worship. That is how he looks upon his craft, his art. His training becomes a kind of tapasya, a dedication, and a primary virtue he has to acquire is concentration, ekagrata. Now you see, or okay, I'll talk about that later. This is one area to which NEP has given a lot of importance. This is one area to which NEP has really given a lot of importance. Now, when we talk about the Indian tradition, the art, the crafts, we mentioned that the craftsman is always held in high esteem almost. He's respected as a sadhaka. We always revere this kind of people. We consider them as devotees of God. And the training that they undergo while they are learning the knacks, it is almost like a tapasya. It doesn't come easily. They have to put their heart, mind, and soul into the task to reach the level for which they aspire. And they have to do it with a lot of concentration, which we term as ekagrata. But whether it is craft or whether it is vidya, it is accepted without any argument that the knowledge resides in the teacher or the guru. This is the root of the great reverence attached to the gurus in the Indian tradition, as he is the source and the ultimate authority in the given domain of knowledge. We are going to talk about the Guru Shishya Parampara shortly. But before that, we have to remember that whenever some knowledge is being imparted, some vidya is being imparted to the Shishya, in the earlier times, it was done so without any kind of argument on the part of the Shishya. Because it is taken for granted the Guru is in the seat of God. In the Guru resides the ultimate knowledge. So if he imparts the knowledge, he has to be 100% correct. And the Sishyas, the disciples, are so humble. They take it straight. They don't question, because they have great respect that they are receiving the best knowledge from the gurus. This was the Indian tradition earlier, because the guru was always considered the ultimate authority in any domain of knowledge. This inspiration from the gurus, the essence of the Guru Shishya Parampara, has been beautifully summed up in a lecture delivered by Swami Vivekananda in Newark and England, which was later compiled into a book titled My Master. Vivekananda had said, I quote, "All that I am, all that the world itself will someday be, is owing to my master, Sri Ramakrishna." I unquote. This is so sacred. This carries the essence of the Guru Shishya Parampara. There's no question in the mind of the disciple. He considers the Guru the ultimate authority. The ultimate. He merges in the Guru. And he believes that whatever he is what he is because of his Guru. And he also believes that the world someday, that is what he had forecasted so many years back, the shape that the world will take later be, that also will be due to the influence of his Guru, Sri Ramakrishna. But the crux, where does it lie? Now we are back to the present with a bang. We are back from the past. We have jumped to the present scenario now. The present scenario, where we see rapid changes in the global economy with the advancement in science and technology, and this has led to dramatic changes in the society. It has led to all kinds of changes, both positive and negative, but more on the negative line. So this is the right time for us to wake up, take a closer look to see what is really happening and why is it happening? Why have we detached ourselves from our glorious past? And what is the end result? What is happening? What is making us think or making us remember the past? Are we regretting this fragmentation from a past legacy? So the present scenario is in a fluid scenario. It's a very fluid scenario. It's very important. So it is a reminder to us that we need to regain a glorious ancient past, which reverberates the philosophy of the Upanishads, revolving round the concept of the Brahman, the universal soul, and the Atman, the individual soul. The teaching of the Bhagavad Gita, elucidating the ideals of Karma Yoga, the path of action, Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion, and the Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge for self-realization. At this juncture, there is an urgent need. I repeat once again, at this juncture, there is an urgent need to draw our identity, our own identity, from such a sprawling belief system, which has always given a unique stature to India at the global platform. People always looked on India, they still do, in a different way. They come to us to acquire knowledge, whereas we have moved far away from our own legacy. So first, let us see what was the strength of the ancient education system. Why was it so amazing? Why was it so rich? Why is it worth following? Why should we still continue or at least take up some of those pearls of wisdom from the past and try to incorporate into our present system, which NEP is trying to do? The ancient education system always focused on the holistic development of the individual, the total integration of the mind, the body, and the spirit, which is in sharp contrast to the kind of education that is being imparted to our younger generation in the present times. That's a very sad state of affair. It is not holistic. And we see what is happening, the end result. The ancient education always emphasized on values such as humility, discipline, self-realize, and respect for all creation. They taught us to live in harmony. They taught us that we are all interdependent. We cannot stay in isolation. The whole world is a creation of God, and God has created all of us in such a way that we are kind of dependent on one another. That teaches us the importance each of us have in the scheme of things. We should learn to respect each other's presence, both the living as well as the non-living. And because of the ignorance, because of the lack of knowledge about this, what do I say it? Ignorance of this harmonious system, we have been destroying nature, our environment, and we know what is happening all around us. Nature is also playing game with us now. We are being challenged. We thought that we have become the master, but all the recent happenings, particularly the pandemic, has given us a rude awakening. It is a time for us to recall that we are not the master. We are still dependent. We are still dependent on one another. No one is a master, no one is a servant. We are all the same. We are all one. And we all need to stay connected, united, if we want to live a better world for the future generation. Earlier teaching in the ancient education system, they followed the tenets of the Vedas and the Upanishads about fulfillment of all the duties allocated to them towards their own self, towards their family, and the society. In this way, whenever we fulfill tasks assigned to us, some of these tasks are related to us directly, some tasks related to our family, some tasks related to the society at large. It covers entire life, all aspects of life. So we can never say that this is not of interest to me because it does not touch me directly. It does touch you directly or indirectly. So these are the things which we have ignored, or the present education system has not taught us the importance. The early education system did, the ancient system did. And that is why it was harmonious living. Everybody was thinking about one another, working for one another, and working for general peace of their country and their kingdom, or wherever they were located at that point of time. So education in India, summing it up, we can say that education in India has a heritage of being pragmatic, it is achievable and complementary to daily life. So whatever we were discussing a little earlier, these are not impossible things. These are not some abstract concepts which cannot be given shape to. There's something very relevant, very connected to our day-to-day life, and something which we can achieve, provided we take it in the right manner, we accept it in the right manner, think about it in the right manner with a proper, positive, constructive mindset. So this is the kind of mindset we need to create amongst the younger generation for a better world in the future. So we were talking about the ancient education system. Let us think about the present education system now and make a small comparison. What is happening now? Right in the beginning, your host had pointed out some of the ills of the present day society, the disease of the present day society, and why is it happening? Who is responsible, or what is responsible? Obviously, we have to say that directly or indirectly, our education system is responsible. Why? Because we find it is reeling under the ills of westernization, excessive privatization, and an exclusion. We are going away from our cultural underpinnings, our rich heritage, our rich culture. We are going away from it. We are excluding ourselves from it. We, like, we always say the grass is always greener on the other side. This is something which we use in a day-to-day life, isn't it? What is there with us, we do not appreciate. But whatever is there on the other side, when we see someone else doing something, we always think that is great. Of course, I don't say you should be egoistical and think that whatever you're doing is something great. No, but then at the same time, we should be appreciative of what we have with us. And we have such great legacy to fall back on. So why are we so thirsty, so hungry for things which are Western? Why don't we appreciate what we have with us The Westerners are coming towards India to learn from India, whereas we are running towards the West. This is what is happening. The truth, the ultimate truth. And probably this is one reason why the younger generation are excluding themselves totally from the rich cultural heritage of India. So just achieving literary targets will not do. It is not sufficient for intellectual enlightenment of the mass. Just teaching them the basics is not enough. Teaching them the knowledge confined within the textbook is not enough. There is need to incorporate Indian knowledge and tradition in the field of education in such a way that it becomes our way of life, our way of life. You see, when I was working in the college here, I'm just sidetracking for a few seconds. I'd just like to tell you one thing, that the syllabus that we were asked to follow was such that it gave a lot of textual knowledge to the students. The students remain within the comfort zones of their college premises or in the university or whatever it is. They didn't think beyond. They were not taught. We cannot blame them. It is us who are responsible. So if they are able to learn whatever is there in the text, reproduce it, get good marks, we think they are very knowledgeable, which is not correct. I say so because the pandemic has showed us that even the best of our students were not able to handle the stress and the tensions that came along with the pandemic. Why? Because they were not taught in the classroom to deal with all the challenges of day-to-day life. They never faced them. They had always remained confined within their textbooks and within their comfort zones of the classroom. So it is very important. I've always said, I always believe, because I'm working at the grassroots, I believe our students should get the opportunity to go out to real life from whatever discipline they have taken up for their specialization. From that perspective also, they can go out to the community, try to see what is happening, try to relate with those people. That is when they will understand what life is all about. They will have more empathy. They will have more compassion. They learn more values, which they cannot learn just by taking a degree from any college or from the university. The present education system, which had been there so far, did not give our students to acquire knowledge which could be transformed into a way of life, their way of life. So, but being home to one of the youngest population in the world, we need to realize that the demographic dividend for the growth and development of our country. Now, things are getting serious. Why? Because India, when we think about our country, India, we do realize that majority of our population belongs to the younger section. That is why India is being called young. We have the youngest population. So it is a right time. It's a right time for us to take up things, to take things in our stride and try to, fill in all the shortcomings, which is leading to all kinds of destructions, both internally as well as externally, internally also, which is keeping our future human resources away from their rich past and a rich heritage. They'll become greater, good, and better human beings once they're given the opportunity to acquire the kind of knowledge which will really make them rich and wise in the true sense of the term. It's not just accumulation of information, not just accumulation of information, but knowledge. The way the craftsmen had acquired knowledge of their craft by living in the ashrams, following the Guru Shishya Parampara. Similarly, these people also, when they connect with real life, observe real life, learn from real life, connect theory and practice together, they'll be able to become better human beings. And they will learn all the virtues which were not taught to them. As I said, we cannot keep blaming them. It is our responsibility. They should start the moral education from the home. And then again, a curriculum also should give them the opportunity to learn these things, the values, principles, all these things at a school level. Then again, take it up in some way to the college level, to the university level. And by them, they will be properly groomed as human beings and be able to fulfill their duties and responsibilities of Mother Earth. And it is also the moral responsibility of the stakeholders. It is the moral responsibility of all the stakeholders to strive for equality and equitable education for all by extending stimulating courses on Indian knowledge system to the students at a young age, so that they know the importance of doing what is right with a logical framework for making ethical decisions. We shouldn't always leave all things to the government. We are government also. We shouldn't always leave things to the UGC. We are also part of UGC. Any organization that is related to the education system, related to our future human resources, we have to take or play an active role to make sure they get the best. This is our moral responsibility. And what should we do? We should strive for quality and the kind of education which does not create any kind of divide between the rural and the urban, based on the caste, creed, and other differences, based on the geographical location, based on the economic condition. There should be no discrimination as such. Whatever is available for the people living in the urban areas should be equally available for people living in the rural area also. There should be no divide at all. There was no such divide in the earlier Indian knowledge system. The king's son had the same kind of education as a poor man's son. They lived in the same way in the ashrams. Can't we do the same? Who knows? Who knows? Who may be there living in the rural area with a brilliant scientific mindset? Given the opportunity, he or she will bloom forth and contribute towards nation building. And at the same time, we also have to make sure that the base is made strong. The base is always made strong when they have the right kind of moral education, जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं नीति शिक्षा. In our times, I remember we had a subject called moral science, but in between that subject had disappeared from the curriculum. Moral science just disappeared. So there was no way of teaching value education, because there are many students in a rural area who come from such backgrounds where the parents are illiterate. So they don't get the opportunity to learn anything from home. But they also have a right. They also have equal right, like a child living in the urban area, to learn what is best, what will help them evolve as a good human being. So whatever is happening right now is due to all these lacunas existing in the system. And if these lacunas are fulfilled, these shortcomings are corrected, then of course, we will have the best young generation that India could ever hope for. And these younger generation, the young generation will come up, will be strong citizens of the country, and they will give a lot of stress to doing what is right. They will have a strong mindset, and they will always take the right decision. Whenever they are faced with some kind of trauma, when they are faced with some kind of challenges in life, they will not become weak. They will not be filled with stress. Why? Because they've been trained from a younger age to be strong mentally, just so that they are able to do what is right when the time comes in the face of challenges. Now we had the pandemic. Who knows, after a couple of years, what kind of challenges, what kind of trauma will come up? So we have to prepare our younger generation accordingly for all kind of calamities in the years ahead. Now, a quick glance, we have to connect it with NEP 2020. We know this is the first document of the 21st century which aims to reconfigure the education system of India on the framework of the Indian knowledge system. The earlier policies had not given importance to it, but this particular policy has realized that without taking into consideration the Indian knowledge system, we will not succeed in any sphere of life. And its primary aim was to rejuvenate and to redesign. How to achieve that? By rejuvenating and redesigning the curriculum and the pedagogy from the foundational stage onwards in the Indian and local context and ethos in terms of our culture, our tradition, our heritage, language, philosophy, geography, ancient and contemporary knowledge, societal and contemporary needs, indigenous and contemporary ways of learning. So it is the right time. It is the right time for the entry of NEP 2020. And it's really a great thing that NEP 2020 has given so much of emphasis to the Indian knowledge system. We all know old is always gold. So we need to again look back to the past, take the best from it, and try to move ahead with new concepts, keeping the old past as the base of our system. Now we all know, but still, just glance through, the NEP 2020, as we know, consists of 4 parts. The first part deals with the school education, the second part with higher education, part 3 deals with other key areas of focus, such as adult education, promoting Indian languages and online education, and part 4, making it happen. The policy states that the center and the state shall work together for public investment in education. Now, government can always come up with something new, keeping our progress in mind, keeping the progress of the nation in mind. But nothing will work out unless and until we stretch our hands out and agree to work in collaboration with the government. Similarly, the state, the center also has to work together. If our education provides the best, then obviously everyone will come out to acquire that kind of an education. They will all work together, and this will bring about tremendous public investment in education. With all the happenings taking place around the country, around the world, in fact, people have somehow lost faith. What is happening? what is happening to our younger generation, what is happening in this world. And now they have realized that they themselves are responsible. We ourselves are responsible. So if somebody comes up with a new idea and tells us that if we try to take this up, some changes will come about, we should take it up. We should give our full cooperation, our full support, and make it happen. That is our responsibility, our moral responsibility as a stakeholder, as a conscious citizen of our country. So the last part, making it happen, actually means a lot, means a lot. Now let us see how we can relate this to higher education. Some of the features, some of the changes which NEP is trying to incorporate into higher education is, as we all know, as we are associated with higher education, we all know that changes which are going to take place is institutional restructuring and consolidation, way towards a more holistic education. This is the part I'm concerned with. Optimal learning environment and support for students, motivated, energized, and capable faculty. We are connected with this. Teacher education, reimagining vocational education, professional education, promoting high quality research, effective governance and leadership, transforming the regulatory system, promotion of Indian languages, arts and culture, and use of technology and integration. Now, during the last couple of days, you had many very resourceful speakers coming and addressing some of the very important areas which are going to be incorporated into our higher education. I'm now going to focus only on the holistic and the multidisciplinary approach, which is the need of the hour and which is being taken into consideration by NEP 2020. Now, the source of inspiration behind our new policy is definitely the ancient India's rich heritage. That is why it took so much of time to complete the whole work, the whole task assigned to the committee. Acquisition of knowledge is not its sole objective, but it aims for complete realization and liberation of the self. Now, doesn't that remind you of our ancient knowledge system? It should. We are speaking the same language here. Realization has dawned that just acquiring knowledge will not do. It will not actually fill all the gaps that has been left behind over the ages. What is very important is that we should all work towards complete realization and liberation of the self. We should free ourselves from all the shackles which have tied our mind, the heart, the soul so far, and take up wings and fly up to the free sky, soar up to the free sky. At undergraduate level, there will be integration of humanities and arts with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And the policy is based on the premises that research can be improved through a holistic and multidisciplinary approach. This will lead to enhanced positive learning outcomes, increase creativity and innovations, critical thinking and problem-solving abilities, teamwork, communication skills, more in-depth learning, and mastery of the curricula across fields, and increase social and moral awareness. Now you see, when in the early times, the Shishya would go to the ashram to receive education from the gurus. If they had gone there to master the art of archery, It was not just the craft, the skill that was taught to them. They had to stay there over a long period of time, and they had to learn other things also, which is related to their day-to-day life. They were, in fact, even sent out to the forest to collect woods and come back and give it to the Guru Ma at the end of the day, just so that she can cook food over the fire with the wood, the 5 woods that was collected by the Shishya. And this was done in great humbleness. Why was it done? It was done to cut everyone down to size. Whether you are a king's son, whether you are a beggar's son, it makes no difference to the Guru. The Guru provides the same quality shiksha to all, irrespective of their status. This is something very good. They are learning so many life skills along with the skill of the craft. This is what is required. This is what is needed to bring about the transformation that we are talking about, the freedom that we are talking about. So once their education is completed, at that level, when they go out, they are able to handle not just themselves, but they are able to handle all situations of life with confidence, because they have been trained in the right way. They have had life experiences. This is what matters. This is what counts. And so all the things, all the skills, all the outcomes that is expected from this policy will definitely lead to great changes taking place. Now, in a classroom, as we all know, most of the time, we think of ourselves as a teacher. Actually, the teacher word is obsolete. It had disappeared a long time back. It is a word, the right word is a facilitator. But earlier, we used to sit on the chair. So there was obviously hierarchy. We sit at a higher level on the platform. The students are below. We tend to think we are the givers, they are the receivers. There was no questioning in that. But here now, what is expected is a give and take. The students, if an idea is being shared with the students should be given the opportunity to think on their own. They have brains too. Why do we ignore that? So the new policy is giving us that opportunity to all the teachers, that you give them ideas about the concept and then pass it on to them. Just so that in the classroom itself, they'll be brainstorming, they'll be critical thinking, creative thinking, they'll do problem solving, they'll work as a team. And even the silent ones will be compelled to communicate with one another. And this will definitely lead to some kind of in-depth learning. It will be more focused. They'll take it more seriously because they have been entrusted responsibility by their gurus, by the teachers. So this is going to teach them a lot of something extra along with knowledge of the subject concerned, the subject they are dealing with. Now, when we turn the pages of history, we cannot deny the fact that the makers of the policy were inspired by the world-class institution of ancient India, such as Taksasila, Nalanda, Vikramashila, Valavi, wherein the highest standards of multidisciplinary teaching and research hosted scholars and students from different backgrounds and also countries. See, isn't that amazing? That was a long time back down the history. And we had students not just from India, but from abroad too. You just need to recall the names of Fa Hien and Yuan Chang. They had come all the way from China to India to learn. And they have given such wonderful reports about the university existing at the time. So this is our glorious past. And the compilers of the new education policy, the committee definitely was inspired. They have taken into consideration all the things that they could pick up from these world-class institutions which had existed long time back in ancient India. And the policy also takes into account the contributions of the great scholars, Charaka, Shusruta, Aryabhatta, Barahamihira, Vaskarcharya, Brahmagupta, Chanakya, Chakrapanidatta, Madhava, Panini, Patanjali, Nagarjuna, Pingala, Shankardeva, Moitri, Gargi, Thiruvalluvar, etc., to diverse fields such as mathematics, astronomy, meteorology, medical science and surgery, civil engineering, architecture, navigation, yoga, fine arts, etc., etc. The list is endless, it seems. We were so rich. Our scholars had such brilliant minds. They could come up with such great ideas, such great theories, and bring about such great transformation in a country at the time. And many Westerners were inspired by them. So we should be proud of a rich legacy. So in a nutshell, you could say that by preserving India's rich legacies and knowledge, NEP 2020 wants the ancient knowledge to be researched, enhanced, and then put to new uses through the new education system. You have to have knowledge of the prior education system to be able to identify the best in it and to see how we can utilize the best in the present times. Look at it from new perspective, with new knowledge, and put it to new use. That is the idea behind NEP 2020, and that is why it's giving so much of importance to our Indian knowledge system while formulating the policy. So in conclusion, you can say that keeping the above discussion in view, the NEP 2020, once it is fully implemented, I repeat once again, once it is fully implemented, it's not yet fully implemented because everybody is like, is very unsure about what is expected from them, what they're supposed to be doing to make it work. And many states are not coming to the forefront also to take the lead, except for Karnataka has already taken up, and there are other states now slowly trying to move ahead. But in course of time, they will have no other alternative. They will have to. But when you keep in mind its positive outcome, definitely, we will all pull in our lot and work together to make things happen, to make it a living reality, because it will bring about sustainable human development. It will bring about sustainable human development and universal education, the kind of education which will fit in anywhere and everywhere. A person educated here will be able to adjust himself or herself elsewhere, and a person elsewhere also will be able to come and adjust himself or herself here. And then again, learning with equity. There'll be no demarcation, there'll be no discrimination, there'll be no question of complexities amongst the learners, because they know whatever opportunities they are getting are the same. A person living in a rural area will not suffer from any kind of inferiority complex, thinking that I'm not getting the best. Why? Because learning will be the same. Teaching, learning will be the same. The opportunities will be the same. Whatever is there in the urban will also be there in the rural. This is learning with equity and learning again with a research-oriented mindset. It is not going to permit anyone to stay stuck in a very static condition. It should be ever flowing like the river Ganga. So all the time, the students with their critical thinking ability, their creative thinking ability will be encouraged to think differently on their own also. Just so that with the research mindset, they can take the existing knowledge forward for more improvement. And then again, it will also bridge the gender, social, regional gaps. I was talking about discrimination earlier. There'll be no regional gaps, but there'll be active community participation. And that will help in raising the spirit towards equal opportunities to all, irrespective of their positions or their locations. NEP 2020 will beautifully blend both ancient and modern knowledge system. Both ancient, I repeat once again, NEP 2020 will beautifully blend like a tapestry, both the ancient and the modern knowledge system, which will help our younger generation, our future human resources, not only in acquiring knowledge, but also in integrating Indian culture and ethos. That is what we are primarily concerned with. So that's the end of it. A big thank you to all of you, to all the participants for giving me a patient hearing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope I have been able to complete it in time. Is it okay, Professor Tanya? I'm on time?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful session, madam.
Anyway, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity once again.
Yes. Dr. Pooja.
So we will head towards the question and answer session.
Yeah, sure.
And
sure.
we are having a question from the side of Dr. K. Shankar Rao.
Hmm.
He writes, how can fulfilling the gap between quality of education from ancient times to today's time, I think he wants to say that how we are going to fill that gap of quality that exists when we talk about ancient time and when we talk about today's time, because needs are different.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for your wonderful question, rightly raised. But that is an area the government is working on to make it trying to make it equitable. First, working on the curriculum, and then, of course, a lot of funding will have to be provided to the institution in the rural area, just so that the facilities can be made available in the same way as it is being made available in the urban area. I know there's a lot of economic disparities. The divide is very wide, but in course of time, it is going to be challenging, no doubt. And that is why an appeal has been made to all of us. We are also part of the government. It is our responsibility also first to work with a constraint, with all the limitations. But over the years, as we have adjusted with the other system, here too, we will face the challenges, we'll take it up, and then we'll go on slowly and slowly, fill in the gaps and move forward. And at the same time, teach our students, our learners also to do the same and to move forward, even with constraints, even with challenges, and take the best out. Think globally, work locally should also become our mantra. We should take all the concepts from the topmost institutions and try to see which of them are feasible, which can be implemented. Start with that as a base, and then move forward. And of course, we are in a position to claim that, or not claim exactly, to demand that changes should be brought about in this area. We have to work hand in hand with the government. We have to work hand in hand with the government. We need to identify the areas which require changes, just so that we are able to keep the promise to our learners that whether you are studying in a rural institution here or whether you are studying in an institution in some urban area, the kind of education that is you are going to receive is going to be of the same quality. And for that, again, the teachers will have a huge responsibility to bring themselves up to the mark, to bring themselves up to the level. So teachers are the torchbearers. They are the change makers. In this policy, they are going to be the change makers. They have a huge responsibility on their shoulders. So with the right attitude, I'm sure all the gaps will be filled up and we'll be able to move forward and succeed in implementing the policy in the best possible manner.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind answer. So we will head towards the second question, that is from Miss Monica Pegu. She writes that in today's cutthroat competition, how it is possible to instill values of empathy and humanity to our students?
Well, as I had pointed out earlier, some of the things, some of the factors actually which are responsible for the lacunas need to be addressed. They will have to be addressed. Some mistakes have already taken place earlier and some cannot be rectified. And that is why we are in a very disturbed world at the present. So we want to remove all the negativity, all the disturbance. We know cutthroat competition is there, but in sports, now see, people have in the new policies given a lot of importance to sports also. Why sports? Because sports teaches a lot of life skills. It teaches us to work as a team in a very healthy manner. And it teaches us that in a game, there'll always be one side winning, one side losing. And you have to take it in a very healthy manner. So the values have to be taught early in life, starting from home, then move on to the schools, then moving further up. But once it is instilled at home, the first unit of the society, then I'm sure the base will be very strong. That in turn will help the younger generation to face any kind of challenges all throughout their life.
Thank you, ma'am. That was an excellent answer from your side. Before going ahead to the third question, I would like to ask all the attendees if they are having any question and they want to speak up, they can raise their hand. I will be unmuting all the participants who will be raising their hands. And now,
Dr. Pooja, I just want to say one thing to the participants, like, you don't even have to raise questions. You can also make your observation based on what you have just heard. You can share your insights. We are all learners. Give me the opportunity to learn something from you people also. I'm here to learn. I'm a little selfish that way. I'm also here to learn from you. So whatever is there buzzing in your head, bring it out, share it. This is a wonderful platform, the best platform to share your thoughts, your ideas. That is how knowledge spreads, ideas spreads. So please come up. I'll be very happy to hear from you, your thoughts, your ideas on whatever had been discussed in the last 1 hour.
okay, ma'am. So going ahead towards the next question by Dr. Kalpana Dikshit. She writes, dear ma'am, excellent session. So she is appreciating the session. What is your view on curriculum framework of NEP 2020, that is 5+4?
Actually, I feel that a lot of time, energy needs to be given to this task. It shouldn't be done in a very hurried manner. Just as the policy took long 5 years to be completed and then floated, similarly, in regard to the end object, the end goal, what are we hoping to achieve? All this will be made possible only through the curriculum. The curriculum is a very important point here, very important aspect of the policy. So whatever needs to be included in the curriculum has to be done so in such a way that it is right for that target group. So it shouldn't be given to anyone and it shouldn't be made into a kind of a commercial business. The way, when a new course is introduced, people start writing books one after another and floating it, becomes a business affair. It shouldn't be done in that kind of a manner. It should be given to the right people. Let them take their time. It shouldn't be done in a haphazard manner also. Done with the right goal in mind, so that the target group benefits from whatever the NEP hopes to achieve from them at that level.
Thank you, ma'am. So one of the attendees raised his hand, Dr. Deshraj Singh, sir. I have unmuted you. If you want to say anything, you can unmute yourself and speak up. You have raised your hand. Any other attendee who wants to say anything or share their give their reflection or share their views, they can also unmute themselves. Yes, sir. Deshraj Singh, sir. Dr. Deshraj Singh, sir.
I think there aren't any more questions.
Yes, ma'am. We are left with no question. Okay, Dr. K. Shankar Rao has raised his hand, so I will be allowing him to talk. I'm unmuting you, sir. You can unmute yourself and speak up.
Okay, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to all. Myself, Dr. K. Shankar Rao from University of Ladakh, Department of Education, Kargil campus. Actually, as our concern, NEP basically focusing about the Naitalim experiential learning, but ancient education also giving more focusing about the vocational training and the dedication and transmission of values and the transmission of culture and commitment. But from ancient period to till today, actually our Indian government taking more initiations and establishing more committees and commissions. But how many commissions requires to changing the students' mindset to build the holistic development? Actually, all are telling about these things, but nowadays all teacher educational institutions basically thinking about joining and to producing the certificates. Actually, entire country I visited all institutions, but no student come to class and listen carefully. But all are thinking how to produce certificates and easy mode. These are all are thinking about the thinking, ma'am. Yeah, that's why the gap increasing in our country, ma'am. Actually, that this is not my question, but
Observation.
this is not my question. This is a big gap in our education system, ma'am. Each and every committee commission strongly focusing about the, for example, yes, Isroba Patel committee basically focusing about the SUPW, and Quatari commission basically from focused about the work experience, and some of commissions and committees based all aspects strongly focused, but implementation problem is in our country bigger problem,
Yes.
actually. Yes, actually, in our teacher education is the base for to build the nation. That's why how to change the students and some of the policy implementers mindset. Actually, that is I am asking the question.
Am I talking to Dr. K. Shankar Rao?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that was a wonderful observation. I understand what you're trying to point out, and it can be summed up in just one line. That is what I personally believe in also, and I agree with every single thing that you have raised. We have failed to walk the talk. We have failed to walk the talk. And
Yes.
that is primarily responsible for all that is happening in our country right now, starting
Yes,
from
ma'am.
the education system. We do not practice what we preach. That is there also. So no matter how many policies come up, we don't know after these how many policies will come up, whether we'll be alive to see it or not. But unless and until the policy really works in the sense that we realize that it is successful, only we look at the end result. And the end result actually for us are the students, our future human resources. But the present times, all the happenings around us is a pointer to the fact that the end result of the earlier policy was not good. And that is why things are happening the way it is happening right now. There's so much of negativity in thought, words, and deeds all around. And we do apology to our own fraternity, the teaching fraternity. I also agree with you that, yes, we have become very materialistic. We have become very commercialized. Even in regard to research work, when we go for conferences, seminars, we are so busy. We don't have time to listen to one another. We have no time to even raise a question or to make some kind of observation to support the other person. He or she has worked on it to make a paper presentation. He has done research work, done field study, compiled his data, made a presentation. The least that we could do is to listen to him or her, but we don't, because our objective is just to be there because we require a certificate for our promotion. That is not real learning. And how can we as teachers become role models for our students if we continue to do things in this manner? So in order to inspire, to motivate, and to make any policy for that matter, right now we are concerned about NEP 2020 because it has been handed over to us. Now it is our responsibility to make it workable. And if we are able to identify the mistakes that were committed earlier, we have to, as teachers, responsible teachers, make sure we do not repeat these mistakes. We have to take a bold stand, make sure at our own institution to do what is right, what is correct. Because, criticism alone is not enough. Condemning alone is not enough. We have to take work into our own hands. As I said, we have to learn to walk the talk. Well, if I do not appreciate things being done this way, let me do it correctly. So let me set an example. As a teacher, let me set an example. Thereby, I will compel others to follow my example. I will compel the students to follow me, take me up as a role model if required. So be the chains, as Gandhiji had said, be the change that you want to see in others. That is the only thing left to us, and it is workable. It is workable. So let us take that up as a slogan now. Thank you, Dr. Rao.
Thank you, ma'am. Single man can't to promote our policy objectives. Thank you very much for your
Thank you, Dr. Rao.
clarification.
Now we are not having any questions left. Anyone who wants to ask anything?
University, they were. She said.
Okay. So thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful session. We truly learned a lot. As Swami Vivekananda has said, Uttishta Jagrata Praya Varane Nibodhit, which means arise, awake, and realize the importance of your blessings in order to achieve the desired goals. Realize your intrinsic potential. So now the time has arrived, India should also realize the importance of Indian culture, philosophy, as rightly said by you, ma'am, during the session. We have some iconic legacies that have that have had an important effect globally. Their contributions must be preserved for future generations, while also being systematically researched, improved, and reproposed through our evolving education system and NEP 2020. So now we have arrived at the end of the kindly mute yourself. I can hear some voice. Dr. Rao, I think this is from your side. So we have arrived at the end of today's session. I hereby invite our very own Professor Dr. Tanya Gupta, Dean, School of Education, K.R. Mangalam University, to give vote of thanks for the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pooja. Dr. Archana ma'am, at the outset, I'd like to express my gratitude to you for, this was a completely different topic amidst the NEP. We've been over these 6 days of the FTP taking on into the principles and aspects like research, innovation, entrepreneurship, digital empowerment, vocationalization, and curriculum, everything we have taken. But this is something on Indian knowledge systems. I would like to share a trend with you here, ma'am. Before I actually thank you, that those would be the last words. The number of questions were very scant in your session. Just 2 questions. There were huge questions on curriculum. There were huge questions on research. There were massive questions on digital empowerment. There were questions on all the aspects that we have dealt through and throughout. So we can stop sharing the screen, I think, Dr. Pooja. Yeah. So I was wondering that why we did not have questions in your session. Option 1, you were best out of all the speakers. Nobody had to say anything. They understood everything from you. The whole Indian knowledge system has, gone into the persons. I'm using a platform to say this, and that's in your honor.
Humble. I feel humbled.
Or there could be a threatening alternative, which you will agree as an educationist, that nobody understood anything because nobody knew anything about the Indian knowledge system. But anyway, they're all intellectuals on this platform. It will be incorrect on my part to presume certain things like this. But yes, the 2 questions that came, and thanks to the participant who he raised it wonderfully, that how we take it through the curriculum. Ma'am, you have, in your presentation, of course, given us what is the rich tradition of our country. You've highlighted on the NEP 2020 aspects. Your entire session today was the kind of value crisis that we are facing. And the Indian knowledge system has that potential. I would like to quote your words where you say, adopt the Indian knowledge system in a proper and a constructive manner among the youth. That was a very powerful statement. Besides that, you have, I think, through this entire session, highlighted how the session, the Indian knowledge system is so necessary for our own happiness, our own well-being, and our own cultural identity. हम कितनी भी भाषाएं बोल लें, but बात अपनी भाषा में ही समझ आती है. You will enjoy speaking in Assamese. अपनी भाषा हमेशा मीठी लगती है. तो अपना कल्चर भी तो अच्छा लगता है ना. When we go abroad, you travel or you see a Hindustani there, you feel so good.
Good.
You feel so good. You feel at home. Sometimes you don't even know the person, but just because that person is speaking your language or is practicing your culture, in fact, you like when the people from the rest of the world wear your own attire. I feel so nice when I see a foreigner dressed in a sari. I feel amazed. It's so beautiful. So I hope everybody has, really valued and understood what this, because a lot of people equate the knowledge systems to going back to something like religion or some
Yes.
kind of a politicization or some kind of a ideology of promoting some kind of sectoral views. This is also what people fear. But to the question which came, I have, one answer that yes, India may be a land of, and this is not my quote, this is the quote of Kailash Satyarthi. India may be a land of 100 problems, but it is also a place for 1 billion solutions. And as you quoted Gandhiji, be the change that you wish to see in the world. It is Gandhiji only who says that a nation's culture resides in the hearts and the soul of the people. Let's ask questions as Indians. How many of us love our country? How many of our youth love their country? Off and on you'll find people condemning their nation, people saying this country has not given me anything. There is so much of poverty, there is so much of corruption. As you very rightly said, the mindset is so negative, so negative. And that is the attempt of the NEP. If you want to see the science, if you want to see in any aspect, it is there in our country. It is there. When I grew up reading the NCERT textbooks, I was discussing with a friend a few days back. I used to read when, 1857, the first war of independence was happening in India. What was happening in France? Why do I need to bring France? I mean, it's okay. We have to be global, but why don't I know what was, okay, if something happening in France or happening in Japan, what was happening in my nation? I seldom, I quite often, not seldom, quite often I think that why for everything we speak of mathematicians as Western, psychologists as Western, why we don't have. So the whole attempt, ma'am, you've brought it out so beautifully. I totally admire your session, the way you've spoken, ma'am. Many thanks to you for taking us on this wonderful topic of the international, the knowledge system. And we could have kept on listening you.
Oh, so sweet, so sweet.
Yeah.
I don't
But
think I have overstepped my limit.
No. But I truly, ma'am, I truly wish that there had been more questions. I'm expressing it on the platform here. The FDP is on because we don't know our culture, ma'am, and we perhaps many of us don't want to know our culture. We don't want to know it.
Yes.
We don't want to know it. We are okay being materialistic. We are okay being westernized, but no country grows if we have a value crisis. And all the more necessary for a young generation to know their rich culture. So just by, just saying that we are a nation, we are not a nation. Nation is organic. It lives and breathes in us. So thank you so much, madam, on behalf of Internal Quality Assurance Cell of KR Mangalam University, School of Basic and Applied Sciences, School of Education, and Council for Teacher Education Foundation, Delhi NCR chapter. We are really grateful that you took out time from your schedule, and you're representing today for us the CTEF Assam chapter, which is one of the pioneering chapters of the CTEF. Thank you so much, madam, for taking this session. And we will look forward to have you more with us. We'll in fact like you to join us in the valedictory also, if you can make it possible. Please do so.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tanya. And I would also like to offer a special word of thanks to Dr. Sanjay Kumar, because he was the one who first connected with me and asked me if I would be interested in one of the sessions. He had given me the choice, and I said, okay, I wouldn't mind taking up this.
Dr. Sanjay sir, you would like to say something, Sanjay sir? Okay, right. Thank you, madam. Thank you so much, and all praises for you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity to all the faculties of your university and to all the participants also. Even if you do not have questions, I have given you some food for thought. And I really hope you go back home and reflect on that. That will be a good start. Thank you. Thank you. Can I leave now?
Yes, madam. Sure, ma'am.
So I will be ending the session now. Thank you. Signing off.